Uh, Thank you again, and we want to welcome you to today's webinar, which focuses on centrally managed limited investment project Stellar 2. This is an initiative which is known to most of you. Phase 1 just ended on the 30th of June 2024, and Project Stellar 2 focuses on sustainability through institutional strengthening towards sustainable lab systems and diagnostic networks. Next slide, please. Project Stellar was initially funded from the year 2021 with the goal of reinforcing COVID-19 diagnostic capabilities in 23 countries in Africa. These principally were countries which were lagging behind in COVID-19 testing in line with the WHO testing targets. However, over time, there were noted improvements in the COVID-19 situation, and as of 2022, Project Stellar did redeploy its resources to focus on strengthening integrated laboratory system core capabilities and to establish a capacity for wastewater surveillance in 6 countries in the African region. Again, in November 2023, the Global Fund leadership did approve for an expansion of Project Stellar to an additional 9 lab cohort countries in order to support expansion as well as scale up of the existing wastewater surveillance investments. Further to that, in April 16, 2024, we got further approval to extend Project Stellar to support sustainable knowledge transfer through a multi-country peer learning model to institutionalize best proven practices, as well as innovative solutions for integrated laboratory system strengthening. Through this approach, 9 countries represented here have been selected to participate in this specific intervention on equipment maintenance, which we'll be elaborating on later on in the slides, with Uganda supporting the initiative as the mentor country with the best proven practices. The proposed activities for the peer learning builds off from the initial phase of Project Stellar investment areas and will act to sustain the innovative solutions on the identified challenges with implementation at country level. Stellar now moves the technical assistance provision from external service providers to the African countries with strong capabilities.
Sorry, I don't think the slides are moving.
We are still on the second slide. Fatim, is your end frozen?
I'm still seeing the first slide, the executive summary. I don't know about others.
That is where we are. You are on track, Fatim. So with the extension, this moves the TA provision to countries with strong capabilities within the designated lab focus areas in order to accelerate implementation on integrated laboratory systems to support countries with low lab systems in the maturity levels. Next slide, please. Stellar has achieved some notable successes and results which resonate with the Global Fund. Sorry, my screen is, something is keeping off my screen. So Stellar has achieved notable successes that align to the Global Fund RSSH performance framework indicators. As you can see across the results areas depicted on the screen, and this cut across policy and governance areas, data systems and integration, lab system strengthening, integrated quality testing, as well as surveillance. I will not go across the performance one by one. Next slide, please. Please note that these slides would be shared with you so that you are able to see any pertinent areas you want to read on further in details. Since 2021, Global Fund has made significant investments valued at $563 million to support integrated lab system strengthening investments. Out of this amount, COVID-19 response mechanism investments account for 58% of the total investments since 2021. And you can see on the left the investment amounts from GC6 at 108 million, GC7 taking up 124 million, and C19RM taking the first share of the investment amount at 331 million. This is a clear demonstration that Global Fund places on high priority supportive services to ensure efficiency and effectiveness of diagnostic services. As you can see on the graph on the right, key intervention areas being supported under integrated lab system strengthening investments with specimen referral and transport systems, lab information systems, and national laboratory governance, which have generated consistent high demand throughout GC6, C19, as well as GC7 investment across the board. We can see that in terms of lab-based surveillance, C19 response has generated significant demand for surveillance, and through this we have also been able to support investments on wastewater surveillance in 6 countries, as well as support for lab-based surveillance activities in core countries which have requested for that support. Next slide, please. In terms of sustainable knowledge transfer, Stellar 2 focuses on a multi-country peer learning model and collaboration to enhance uptake of proven best practices and innovative solutions on integrated lab system strengthening. The key objectives for this initiative, it aims at institutionalizing strengthening towards sustainable laboratory systems and diagnostic networks, as well as leveraging on established regional capacity in a way that will promote peer learning through a twinning model to enhance fund absorptions, as well as implementation for impact, while also limiting over-reliance on the international technical assistance, which has been happening a lot in the past. Contextually, peer learning aims to catalyze implementation of laboratory investments, both in C19RM as well as during Grant Cycle 7 implementation. Mentee countries have been selected based on laboratory tier 1 and 2 cohort African countries, as well as non-tier 1 and 2 countries with significant investments in laboratory lab interventions, as well as integrated lab system strengthening funding in C19 as well as GC7 grants, as well as those countries reporting on relevant laboratory performance framework indicators. EXA has been selected to coordinate this initiative, and this is an intergovernmental regional organization with 40 years of experience implementing laboratory systems activities in the region, as well as being a Global Fund principal recipient since 2015. EXA as an implementer has profound knowledge and experience implementing multi-country grants on laboratory system strengthening, and has been selected to facilitate this peer-to-peer collaborative learning model. Next slide, please. A key highlight on some of the key priority interventions that will be supported, as I've mentioned, mentor countries, as in the case of today, will be around equipment maintenance, where Uganda will be the mentor countries and has shown best proven practices in terms of equipment maintenance and calibration. The implementation approach will include country field visits, hands-on training, technology transfer, as well as virtual mentorship and establishment of community of practices, and in some instances, establishment of WhatsApp practices, so that both peer countries as well as the mentee countries as well as the mentor countries would be able to collaborate real time to enable resolutions on some of the challenges, as well as encourage innovative learning. The key intervention of focus today is on equipment maintenance and calibration under the mentorship of Uganda. And the mentee countries have been arranged into two cohorts, with cohort 1 countries being Mali, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Mozambique, while cohort 2 countries will be Tanzania, Liberia, South Sudan, and Zambia. The Uganda team would be able to walk us through the planning, dates, and scheduling for the peer exchanges. And on the far right, you can see the Global Fund RSSH indicators to which this key intervention aligns to. Next slide, please. Then in terms of implementation and measures of success, as I've mentioned, EXA will facilitate and coordinate the peer learning initiative. The mentor countries will provide a supportive training environment to the 8 mentee countries under this intervention. And there will be 2 possible rounds of training or peer learning exchanges. And each round will consist of between 3 to 4 countries. The invitations will be extended to 3 participants per training round, with a maximum of 12 participants in order to ensure that we maximize on the available capabilities for the mentor countries. The expectation is that implementation of peer learning should end by quarter 1 of 2025. Ideally, we are looking at the peer training exchanges ending by December of 2024 to allow you sufficient time for implementation of the approaches that you'll have learned during the exchanges. If possible, again, Uganda will have an opportunity to visit the mentee countries and provide follow-up support visits in selected mentee countries. The mentor country exchange visit should end by quarter 4 of 2025. A few measures of success that we expect to see out of these peer exchanges is an improvement in the laboratory system core capabilities that will be reflected on the SPA as well as JEE scores, as well as they should be reflected on the RSSH indicators. Again, a key expectation would be enhanced engagement between the principal recipients as well as with the lab directors. And this is envisaged to improve on and increase ownership, as well as enhance implementation of the soft laboratory activities by the laboratory directorates, resulting in improved fund absorption as well as impactful service delivery. Again, the peer learning exchanges is expected to strengthen collaboration and foster relationships and networking among laboratory leaders in the Africa region, including publication of multi-country peer learning review articles in peer-reviewed journals. Likewise, we will be undertaking a pre- and post-training assessment so that we can demonstrate impact of the peer learning exchanges experienced during the 18 months or so of implementation. Next slide, please. In this case, Uganda has been selected as a mentor countries, having shown proven best practices on equipment maintenance and calibration. The country has established a sustainable national equipment calibration center, a facility that is ISO certified and does undertake equipment maintenance and repairs on various equipments that includes biosafety cabinets, pipettes, centrifuges, weighing balancers, incubators, autoclaves, as well as time, humidity, and pH-based equipments. The country has again undertaken implementation of the Maputo Declaration of 2008 on equipment standardization, as well as implementing the Africa CDC equipment maintenance guidelines. Training and mentorship capacity building is undertaken through collaboration with institutions of higher learning that supports universities at bachelor's level, as well as postgraduate training and thesis projects. We do believe that this approach and matching of Uganda with the 8 cohort countries will support peer learning to enhance fund absorption as well as implementation for impact, given that maintenance of equipment and calibration is really core to support quality testing and services for quality programming. With that, I would want to welcome the Uganda team who will be walking us through the approach to the training and mentorship program support that they will be providing, as well as the training plans with dates. Over to the Uganda team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Osborne, for taking us through the background, and we thank Global Fund for considering this approach of using country capacities to support the different countries. So as Uganda, we supposed to support in equipment calibration and maintenance, and also EQA panel production. So we're going to take you through our approach of how we propose this is going to be done. And we also give the timelines for when the mentee countries will come over. Engineer Mutaka, over to you to present. Engineer?
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Good afternoon, good morning, colleagues from the different parts of Africa. My name is Engineer Abdul Mutaka. I head engineering services at the department, and also the technical manager for the Uganda National Equipment Calibration Center, a center that is hosting this initiative. So this slide is, this presentation is going to answer all the requirements that we are here for. And to begin with, we shall begin with the strategic positions of the department. Our strategic objectives that NHLDS vision is for provide quality laboratory services available and acceptable to all people in Uganda. And our mission is a health and productive population that contributes to a social economic growth and national development. And we are looking at this to feed into the Vision 2040, which is actually talks about transforming Uganda society from a peasant to a modern, prosperous country within the next 30 years. Next slide. So the introduction slide talks about the general overarching department and how the department is actually aligned. So we are a department in the Ministry of Health that offers laboratory services and stewardship. So our mandate is to provide stewardship for laboratory and diagnostic services in the country. And this includes development of policies, guidelines, standards, strategies, support, supervision, and quality assurance. The other mandate is also provision of specialized reference testing for laboratory services. And this includes CPHL, National TB Reference Laboratory, National Malaria, Animal EQA lab, cancer diagnostic, equipment calibration, and nutrition and food safety. Our vision is quality health laboratory services available and accessible to all people in Uganda. Next slide. So, what is the NHLDS? So at NHLDS, like I said earlier, it's a department in the National Health Laboratory, sorry, in the Ministry of Health. And under it, we are having university and research laboratories. We're also overseeing national reference laboratories. We're also looking at the animal health laboratories and then the regulatory bodies. So under each of these ones, we have a number of laboratories that are cascading up to the department. But for purposes of this presentation, we are looking at the NHLDs with in line to health laboratory, and we're saying it's a department under the Directorate of Public Health and the Ministry of Health. And our major function, like I stated earlier, is stewardship and management of lab services in Uganda, and also provision of specialized references testing in the country. And into here, this is where we have the CPHL that does the viral load and the sickle cell, and then the National Equipment Calibration Center, which is the reason as to why we are here. Under CPHL, we have under NHLS, there are other reference labs like the TB supranational lab, the Central Public Health Lab with all those other laboratories under them, the Clinical Molecular Lab, the National Microbiology Reference Lab, the Genomics and others. And then in the Equipment Calibration Laboratory or Center, for that matter, we have a number of units under it. And these units are the ones that are going to be answering the how and why for this peer learning. And into here, we have the calibration of auxiliary equipment. We have the certification of biosafety cabinets. We have maintenance of laboratory equipment, and also have in-service training that we offer to engineers to build their capacity in the area of equipment maintenance. We also have the Quality Assurance Lab, which my colleagues talked about some time back, and I will not dwell so much onto it. Just want to focus this onto the Equipment Calibration Center. Next slide. So NHLDS laboratory coordinated programs, as seen, we have the Equipment Calibration and Maintenance Center at the extreme left. We have the National External Quality Assurance. We have the Biosafety and Biosecurity. We have Lab Information Management System. We have Lab Supply Chain and Logistics Management. We have Capacity Building. We have Disease Programs, and that's HIV, viral load, AID, and others. We have the National Sample Transport Network, and we have the National Biorepository and Research. All these ones are coordinated at the Department of National Health Laboratory and Diagnostic Services. Next slide. So the background. All this came into play to address the Maputo Declaration, like we said earlier, that was held in Maputo on 2008, and into it, it was guiding countries to harmonize laboratory equipment, to harmonize maintenance contracts, to harmonize the way auxiliary equipment is maintained in the respective countries in Africa. And Uganda embraced this holistically. We carried out equipment harmonization. We have a harmonized list for automated equipment in the country. And this has really played a very significant role in terms of procurement of reagents, procurement of spares for maintenance and service contracts. And in that, we've also developed strategies to maintain laboratory equipment. And this is where our focus for today is. And as a result, we've come up with a number of strategies to really enforce the Maputo Declaration. And the results are really significant, like we're going to see. And based on this, the ministry has really supported laboratory transformation and improved diagnostic services in the network, including innovative quality improvement programs that has seen over 70 laboratories attain international accreditation, and these accreditation programs will include the 15189 ISO 15189 of 2022 for most of the laboratories. We have the ISO 17043, ISO 17025. That is where we are. You know. So next slide. So our approach for equipment management at that time was to guide, to provide guidance on how to move. So in Uganda, the approach we took was to develop equipment maintenance guidelines, and these guidelines were guiding us on how the country is going to undertake the procurement of laboratory equipment, undertaking the installation and commissioning of laboratory equipment, and undertaking the operation and maintenance, decommissioning and disposal of lab equipment. And all these are well mentioned in the lab equipment maintenance guidelines that were developed and adapted by Minister of Health as a document to guide in management of laboratory equipment. Next slide. So about the National Equipment Calibration Center, the center was established in 2017, and it attained ISO 17025 in early 2020, and it was established to address the ever-increasing cost of equipment maintenance, equipment calibration, biosafety cabinet certification, and also to address the training needs in order to reduce the over-reliance of outsourced services. And to this, I really thank the vision of the Minister of Health for Uganda, that around COVID, Uganda did not really lack equipment services, because we are managing most of our services in the country. And this really played a very big role in reduction of mortality under COVID, like it is actually witnessed all over, and how Uganda managed laboratory COVID outbreak. So our center consists of 4 units. The first one is the National Equipment Calibration Laboratory, and this is tasked with the calibration of lab equipment in the country, and this moves in Uganda and actually beyond. We also have a unit that deals with biosafety cabinet certification, and here these are tasked to calibrate and certify all biosafety cabinet in the country. We also have a unit that does laboratory equipment maintenance, and as in line or in conjunction with the regional equipment maintenance workshops. And these workshops are the ones that are placed at the regions that offer lab equipment maintenance. So our center does offer them consultative services, and also above site services where they have consultations that they need to work with us, then we also provide that. And the same center, we have a training and mentorship section. This section deals with training and offering capacity building to the engineers in the country and in the region. It's a well-developed center, and offering a lot of good capacity building to countries in Uganda and beyond. Next. Next slide. So our clientele, we offer services to Uganda and our neighboring countries. And in Uganda, we handle all means of health laboratory health facilities, all health facilities, from the national referral to the lowest level of laboratory. We offer these services, and there is no outsourcing of any facilities in terms of calibration. We also offer services to agriculture, veterinary laboratories, to address the One Health agenda. We also, in line to offering clean water, we offer services to our national water laboratories to ensure that the quality of services that providing to our consumers of water is in line with the standard. We offer services to private health facilities to ensure that the results that we are getting from private sector really meets the requirement of the quality results that we need to offer to the people of Uganda. We also offer services to teaching institutions and universities. Most of the universities, especially those offering medicine services and others. We offer calibration for them, and also ventured into pharmaceutical industries where we're calibrating most of the equipment in that industry. Next. So so far in the trainings conducted, we've offered so far a number of trainings as a center. Recently, we had 9 countries from EXA region being trained under biosafety cabinet certification program. It was a 3 weeks training that we ended last month, but one. We also had, we have also trained engineers for 16 regional equipment maintenance workshops in Uganda. And these ones, we have trained them in non-automated laboratory equipment or auxiliary equipment, like we shall see. We have also trained them in management of air conditioning and refrigeration. This has come from the lab side, but we're having issues with the cold storage. So the center embarked on training our colleagues down in the workshops in management of refrigeration, and also to be able to have a proper functional engine expert machine, we needed to work on the air conditioning very well. Uganda being in the tropics, we have a lot of heat in some of our laboratories. So the lab proposed to have engineers build capacity in air conditioning and refrigeration, and this one we offered them ably. In the lab, we also have issues to do with power backup systems. In Uganda, I don't know what it is in the rest of the countries, but in Uganda, it was a big problem. So our labs, the power backup, we're having power backup systems to back up our electricity supply. So we had gaps in this area, and we embarked on training our colleagues in the regions to ensure that they maintain power backup systems very well. And here we conducted successful trainings, and power backup systems are now managed by our engineers in the country. Our national blood bank engineers have also been trained by our team, and to maintain laboratory equipment, and also to maintain the cold chain equipment, which is the bulk of their services that are offering. We also offered such trainings to Uganda Police Forces in maintaining of non-automated laboratory equipment and cold chain equipment. These trainings are being offered as to address needs in different interministerial bodies and also in the Ministry of Health. Next slide.
Abdul, sorry to chime in. If you could speed up and finish up in the next 3 minutes to allow time for questions and answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So the other scope in our calibration scope includes volume, speed, mass, temperature, time, humidity, pH, and pressure. That is the scope of calibration that we offer in our calibration lab. Next slide. So that is a pictorial slide showing the engineers carrying out calibration in the lab, and the center offers calibration services to Uganda and beyond, like I said. And this reliance of our calibration laboratory and of cutting out reliance on outsourced services is offering us significant savings annually to the region of over $900,000 annually. And all these resources are now being rechanneled to perform other duties in the country. So we've also developed a business plan to ensure that the center generates some small revenue in terms of cost recovery for sustainability. It's also a regional training center for equipment calibration and biosafety cabinet, like we've seen in the Eastern and Southern Africa. Next slide. The next slide, we are looking at the biosafety cabinet certification. That slide is showing us the capacity that we have. We have 5 full kits, training kits, not actual trainings, professional kits used in biosafety cabinet certification. And in this program, we host the national event for biosafety cabinet. We have 8 trained engineers in management of safety cabinet, and out of the 8, 4 of them 4 of them are NSF accredited to meet the minimum requirements of biosafety cabinet certification. In this program, we have invested over $300,000 to really build capacity in this area. Next slide. So as the next slide comes in, we are showing the different types of cabinets that we work on. So we have a developed curriculum that we shall actually be.
Mr. Engineer
Yes.
Mtaka, can we quicken
Yes.
up until when we get the training plan to allow questions?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So then that slide is showing us the curriculum that we have. Next slide. And then the training plan. So the training plan, we propose to have a peer-to-peer engagement, and whereby we shall have foundation engagement with the mentee countries. And then we have sustaining peer engagement, and then fostering actual peer learning, and then diffusing learning from individuals to organizations. Next slide. So the pre-foundation, we're proposing to setting up learning objectives, and here we are establishing peer group foundation, selection of individual target peers, and then the activities will be participants identification, and then teaming up. Next slide. So step 1, the foundation engagement, to foster faster peer engagement. We hope to have initial brief meetings with peer individuals, and I think this is what we are having currently. Then next we shall be going to the understanding the logistic arrangement, which EXA will be doing, and then individual countries needs assessment, which will be done in the short run, and then identifying resources and capacity, which is supposed to be done by EXA, and then the orientation meeting, which we shall have very soon, and then the needs assessment stroke gap analysis using the checklist that we shall have developed. Next slide. So step 2 will involve actual peer learning phase, and here we shall have sites visit to carry out face-to-face connections. We shall also have virtual meetings and online networks. We shall have joint peer activities, capacity building on equipment management, and this will involve training using a combination of didactic lectures, interactive discussions, field visits, group exercise, and then hands-on practices. We hope to have individuals visit Uganda to learn equipment management, and then a formal knowledge sharing, which will have to offer training and hands-on skills. Next slide. We plan we plan to achieve practical learning in respective countries, evaluation of learning outcomes, monitoring and feedback about the learning, and then site visits to countries to monitor equipment management program, the technical assistant to mentorship, and then evaluating effectiveness of the training. Next slide. Then the step number 4 will be diffusing learning from individuals to organization, and into here diffusing learning from individual to organization to foster impact at scale. Also scaling up lessons learned from peer engagement back to the host countries. Then it will also involve peer learning from individuals to track up the actual progress, and then diffusing lessons by peers into the organization. We also hope to have home organizations should be ready to support and invest in learning from peers, create time, space, and other resources to ensure the knowledge is actually apprehended. Next slide. So that slide is showing how we are going to have engagements done, and I will not drill so much onto it. We shall have foundation engagement, sustained contact between individuals, achieving learning objectives, and then learning applied to create changes at scale. Next slide. We hope to have this program as indicated in the table, where the first one is a foundation engagement, which is supposed to be in June, July, and then that's for cohort 1. So we have to to have contact with the peer in August, and then on-site technical assessment around November, December, January, February in that quarter, and then diffusing from the month of June to December. For cohort 2, it's around the same foundation engagement that we're having in June, July, and then peer learning will be in the month of September. On-site technical assistance will be in, between December and April, and then diffusing learning will be expected to start in July, December 2025. Next slide. So basically, we're proposing the dates are broken into, as shown. Participants visiting Uganda, cohort 1 will be 11th to the 23rd of August, 2024. And cohort 2 will be visiting Uganda on the 15th to the 27th September, 2024. We hope to have on-site technical assistance for cohort 1 in the month of November, 2024, and for cohort 2 in the month of January, 2025. So the expected outcome is a pool of competent individuals trained in management of laboratory equipment, and then the final outcome will be a comprehensive equipment management program adapted in each of the countries involved in this kind of training. Next slide. I want to stop at that and thank Global Fund for the initiative entrusted into us, and then EXA region for entrusting us with this assignment. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abdul, for that detailed presentation. And with that, I want to welcome EXA, Dr. Andrew, for a quick high-level walkthrough on EXA for 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Osborne. And very, very briefly, I would like to just indeed thank the Global Fund for entrusting EXA to coordinate and facilitate the peer-to-peer learning. As you have heard, EXA is an intergovernmental organization. There are 9 member states. We function in these 9 member states, but also offer support to other countries in the region. We have met some of you already in some of the meetings, like the recent one in Uganda for the equipment training, as well as the one that we held recently in Nairobi. So we'll be pleased to continue to interact with all of you. Essentially, the role of EXA would be to facilitate the travel, the accommodation, the conference venues, the in-country transportation, and also importantly, the monitoring and evaluation and reporting of the peer-to-peer learning process. So we have a number of staff under EXA who will be interacting with you when it comes to procurement or finances, and the carrying out of the actual peer-to-peer learning activity. So we look forward to a very fruitful collaboration on this assignment. Thank you very much. Over to you, Osborne.
Thank you so much, Andrew. So with this, we want to welcome participants for any questions that you may have, need for clarifications or comments. And Zioda, kindly let us know if there are any questions on the chat box. I haven't seen any, but to all participants, feel free to raise your hand so that you can raise any questions or comments that you may have.
Thanks, Osborne. Confirming that we don't have any questions in the chat, but participants can unmute and raise their questions verbally. Thank you.
I can come in if there are no questions whilst we're waiting for questions, if okay with you guys.
That is okay, Fatim, go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Fatim, and thank you again, Team Uganda, for the for the wonderful presentation and for agreeing to support the biomedical engineers coming from other countries, and also to thank EXA for also the support in facilitation, and to the team at the Global Fund. I just wanted to bring out that this is a very technical training, and it's meant for the engineers who will go back to country and really support, and are actually already supporting but need to gain more capacity or gain more knowledge from Uganda. Of course, we asked for 3 nominees from countries, which we got from each of the countries. At least 2 should be biomedical engineers, and 1 can be somebody who will join to really go back and support the policy, which we also have seen in some of the countries. So I just want to also mention that when you go to Uganda and you see how they're set up, and the equipment that they have and the capacity that they have, it is very important that when you go back to your countries, I mean, maybe you don't have those equipment, maybe you don't have those capacities, but we encourage you to discuss with your CCMs, with your PRs, with your Global Fund country teams, and really, as you are developing your work plans whilst you are in Uganda, identify your needs, such that when you go back to your countries, you can start engaging with your CCMs, PRs, and country teams, such that in case there is any funds or savings that are identified, these are priorities that you can put forth as part of the action plan that you develop in Uganda. So it is very important when you're in Uganda after the training, and you will be supported whilst you're in Uganda to develop a country action plan. Because before you leave Uganda, you need to have an action plan, such that we could follow up with that action plan on what is needed and how you will be implemented in countries. So I just wanted to mention how important the country plan is, and how important is it to identify your needs in country that you might need to set up similar, and share these needs with your CCMs as well as your Global Fund country teams. Thank you, Anov.
Thank you so much, Fatim, for the comments. Does any participant have any questions or need for clarifications? We see no hands raised.
No, we don't have any questions in the chat, and we welcome participants to unmute themselves and raise their questions orally if they need to.
You have 2 hands.
We have 2 hands. Engineer Daniel Obaseki, please go ahead. Obaseki, kindly unmute your mic, then you are able to speak up. Obaseki, your voice is a bit distanced. We can't hear you well unless it is only on my end. If you could speak up loudly. Sorry, we couldn't hear you well. If you could speak up a bit more louder.
Hello? Hello?
That is much better, thank you.
Okay, once again, I want to thank the organizers of this wonderful presentation to go a long way to strengthen our healthcare system in Nigeria in particular, in Africa in general. Once again, my question is this: because of our individual type of, like in Nigeria, we are the biomedical engineers handling our facilities over here. So we have seen the program, the schedule and everything. But another thing that I will appreciate if the organizer can do a kind of cover letter that or a kind of that we can present to our management or various institutions, so that when we are engaging ourselves for this training, they will grant us time to participate, because most of us are supervisors and also we are officers in our various institutions. Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you, Baseki. If I may respond, you need to coordinate with your laboratory directorate, Dr. Janet Agba. Your nomination was proposed by the Ministry of Health, and to the best of my knowledge, Janet had reached out to the Permanent Secretary's office for a blanket approval for all peer learning nominees, including yourselves. And as of 2 weeks ago, with the information I got is that approval has been granted by FMOH to facilitate your travels. So in the event you don't have this, kindly reach out to Janet, then you'll be able to get more details. Thank you. Next, thank you. Next, Waimak, please go ahead with your questions. Wema, we can't hear you if you're talking.
Yes, I'm talking, but I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. That is much better. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you so much for organizing this meeting. We are so grateful to be part of this unique program, capacity building for biomedical engineers in the African region. We are so grateful to Global Fund through ASEF for this program. And we are grateful to Engineer Adut for the wonderful presentation. But one thing I just wanted to know is this program, looking at the schedule, medical equipment maintenance and calibration. Then we also have biosafety cabinet calibration. Will these two training be tied together? I just want clarity, please. Thank you.
True. I'm sorry, Abdul, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susan. I think given the timing, we may not be able to have all of them at the same time. But like I said, countries can, just in case it has not been able to address all your needs per country, countries will be able to individually to reach out to us to have other additional trainings, just in case the capacity is lacking in some of these countries. We recently had a training on biosafety cabinet, and I don't which in the region. So we are going to be focusing on equipment maintenance and calibration for this upcoming one. Over.
So thanks, Abdul. So just chiming in, through the peer learning, there'll be direct engagements between the mentee countries and the mentor countries. And that opportunity, you should be able to use it to identify any specific areas so that you'd want the Uganda team to put more emphasis on through the learning and innovation exchanges. That way you are able to maximize on the interactions during the exchange visits, when Uganda team visits, or during the virtual online mentorship training and exchanges that you'll be holding. So all the opportunities are there. Kindly identify your priority areas of need that will require more emphasis and capacity building. Thank you. Engineer Salome, please go ahead. Salome, kindly mute your mic, then you can speak up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mutaka from Uganda for the wonderful presentation. That's really impressed me, and I know through this training, I can learn more from Uganda, and we can practice better in our country. My question is, throughout this training and intervention, will we have any recognized certificate that we participate on the training of maintenance on this and this and this and this scope? As you know, that will add more on our CVs as engineers. So I'd like to know if there will be any training, any certificate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Salome. Yes, I can attest we shall have certificates. Like we said, we are doing this in conjunction with the Chambogo University. So we shall be able to provide certificates for all the attendees for this engagement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other question or need for clarification? Are we happy also with the training scheduled dates that the team has proposed?
We don't have any questions and no hands are raised. And we're at 11:59, so I'll let you maybe wrap up the session, and maybe we can close. Oh, there is two more. Okay, so we will hand over to our participants. Thank you.
And Andrew, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Osborne. I think for me it was just to add to your response to the question that was asked earlier regarding the communication to the participants. Like Osborne indicated, it's our understanding that the participants have been nominated by the Ministries of Health. But in addition, once we have concluded about the dates, we will be sending individual invitation letters to the participants, especially for those that require processing of visas, so that you are able to use those invitation letters to process your visas as well. I thought I should just highlight that yes, indeed, you will receive some official invitation letters. Thank you, and over.
Thank you, Andrew. Engineer Obaseki.
Thank you once again for having me. Please, I want clarification on about safety cabinet training. My question is is it just a formal training, or we are going to undergo the training and we also undergo the exam as well with the NFS, so that will be about safety cabinet certified engineering? Or is it just a formal basic training, or it's also going to include NSF certification? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Daniel. Like we said, this upcoming training is really focusing on auxiliary laboratory equipment management and calibration. And I mentioned earlier that we had a training here on biosafety cabinet certification. If countries are interested, and if your country is interested, they will then reach out to us, and we can train you and prepare you for NSF accreditation. We have a training program that we are using recently to train engineers and prepare them for the exam, for NSF exam. So if your country is interested, then we can have a discussion like Osborne has said, and we have that training, your country taken through the whole process up to sitting of the NSF exam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abdul and Obaseki, for the questions. So I can see we are on top of the hour, and I want to appreciate all the 8 mentee countries very good attendance in today's meeting, and special appreciation to the Uganda team, Dr. Susan, and your team for being so steadfast in supporting the peer learning exchanges. To the EXA team, it is quite a wonderful thing to have you leading and coordinating the peer learning exchanges. Our communications team, you are the Wonder Kids helping us coordinate, reach out, as well as host this forum. We are so grateful to all of you, and we look forward to more peer learning exchanges once the scheduled training dates commence. Hassan, you have a final burning question? Hassan? Kindly unmute and speak up quickly. We are on top of the hour. Hassan?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Uganda 2024. Well done for the good presentation that was made by my colleagues. My question is that, like now, we don't have so many professionals of biosafety cabinet engineers right now here with us. We are very few. If now, like we have traveled to Uganda, can someone only concentrate on only biosafety cabinet for the training, or you will be accommodated with all the biomedical equipment, the laboratory equipment training? That is my question, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Engineer. And I think there is something that I'm learning from this engagement, that probably there is a greater need for biosafety cabinet certification training. We can have this discussed with my bosses on this call later on, and we see how we can have this need addressed. There was a call, I don't know, maybe most of our colleagues were not didn't receive that call, because we received countries recently here. But from what I'm hearing, I think there is a greater need, and I promise that we can discuss it with the funders on this call and then our bosses to see how we can have that component probably be extended for countries that missed out, to ensure that at least that skill is well handled in the region. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the comments and responses. We'll be able to take up on that if there are specific areas which require more attention in terms of equipment maintenance and calibration. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for being able to attend today's meeting webinar on the briefing on equipment maintenance. And we look forward to a more positive engagement as we commence this journey on the peer learning on equipment maintenance and calibration. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and bye-bye for now.